In order to stop the Collector, Luz needs to lose. We're less than a month away until the series finale of the Owl House. That means we're less than a month away from saying goodbye to a wonderful cast of characters and one of the most unique worlds ever depicted in a Disney series. Less than a month away from finding out how Luz will save the Boiling Isles from the Collector and Emperor Belos. And that means we only have less than a month to speculate. And as someone who's been theorizing Owl House since before the show even premiered, it's crazy to think that our time with the show is coming to an end. Thanks, Disney. Although, let's be honest, 3 years for a show ain't bad. I'm grateful it came this far. So with there only being such a small window of time left to craft some theories, there's one I really wanted to make sure I got out there. And that is the idea that in order for the Collector to step down from his throne above the Boiling Isles and to ultimately defeat Belos, Luz really does need to lose. She's gotta get turned into a puppet, which sounds a little extreme, but once I explain the direction I think they're heading in, it will make perfect sense. But before we begin, don't forget to check out our Owl House inspired designs over at Toondrip. I also relisted some old Steven Universe inspired designs. Link in the description. And I also just wanted to say thank you to everyone who supported the channel over the years. Whether that be just for Owl House content or anything else we've covered. Being able to do this as a job is something that's easy to take for granted. So just know I appreciate all of you. And I appreciate having this little YouTube channel. Now let's get into it. First off, I think the best place to begin is to focus on what the Collector's final game will be. Months before Season 3, I made a video speculating that the Collector would take the reins in their game of Owl House and force everyone to play by his own rules. And although the Collector did end up going along with King's off-the-cuff plan for a majority of For the Future, the episode had an intense cliffhanger where he felt it was time to play a new game. And I feel like this game is going to be a lot closer to what I originally speculated. It's going to be a capture the flag type game, since those have been all over the series, especially in Season 2. Sure enough, Collector straight up suggested capture the flag with a twist during For the Future.
We can play capture the flag! Us versus everyone on the Isles. We can put the losers on the moon!
Loser gets sent to the moon. Yikes, but fitting for a demigod whose species is implied to be the byproduct of the sun and the moon. So yes, I do believe the Collector's final game will be Capture the Flag, Luz's squad against the Collector, a reluctant king, and an army of puppets. Terrifying stakes aside, the gang should be relatively prepared for this, given that Willow, Gus, and Hunter have experience of Capture the Flag, as they're a part of the Emerald Entrails. And if Ida gets the chance to hop in, she'd be a little rusty, but she still has experience in the form of Covens and Wilds. The only two people who might be out of their element are, well, Luz and Amity. They're still athletes, as they both were a part of Hexide's Grudgeby team, with Amity as former team captain. But given how things have panned out, I'm starting to think that their side quests in any Sport of the Storm was strategic on the writer's end, so that they both would be at a disadvantage for this conflict. Because what would be more heartbreaking for the audience who's become invested in this couple than to see one of them fall before the other's eyes? And if there's anything we should know about Luz, it's that she's all about putting her life on the line to protect the people she cares about. So if Amity is on the verge of getting eliminated, I have no doubts, absolutely zero, that Luz would intervene and ultimately take the hit for her girlfriend. Or maybe King and Collector will finally turn against each other and clash, which would reach a climax right out of the first Pokemon movie, where Luz pulls an Ash and tries to break up the fight, taking both of their hits head on. Either way, the result would be the same, Luz getting turned into a puppet in front of all of her friends and her mother. Or hey, maybe she even gets turned to stone if they want to bring it full circle with the petrified witches from Season 1. But why does Luz need to lose? Because I believe the aftermath of such an event is necessary for both Luz and the Collector's respective arcs. Don't forget, Luz is still planning to leave everyone in the Demon Realm behind after everything is said and done. So for Luz to realize she's not a burden on her friends, and for the Collector to be brought back to reality and recognize what he's doing is wrong, he has to go too far. The Collector and Luz have so much in common. At their core, they both don't want to be alone, and they both just want to be understood. They were both outcast, though Collector was a bit more literal. However, thanks to the Collector's own insecurities and Belos' corrupted influence over him, he blindly hates Luz with a passion. primarily viewing Luz as a threat to his friendship with King. Keep in mind, he's never shown to pay much attention to anyone else in the group, only Luz. And because he's not thinking straight, he probably just thinks getting rid of Luz is the band-aid he needs to keep things going his way. But we all know if something bad actually happened to Luz, everyone would break down on the spot, King included, especially King, putting the Collector in a predicament where his attempt to fix things only made everything worse. Sound familiar? Losing Luz would set everyone off as they fight for her return and vocalize just how much Luz means to them, which Luz would hear because we know through Hootie that the puppetized versions of characters still retain consciousness and are very much aware of what's going on. It's time for Luz to be the one who's fought for rather than the person who's fighting for others. For her to realize that these people don't view her as an inconvenience or someone who's messed all of their lives up. But to pull that off, she simply can't be the one who saves the day this time. Not when dealing with the Collector. She's the one who needs to be saved to bring that arc full circle. But if Luz is out of commission, who's going to be the one that Hawk no Jutsu's the Collector, getting through to him and changing the tides? We already know King plans on having a talk with him, but I think the person who's going to make the strongest difference in all this is none other than Camila. Although her inclusion in For the Future was extremely meaningful, I think a confrontation with the Collector is the biggest reason why the writers brought her along for the ride instead of leaving her on Earth. Because at the end of the day, the Collector is just a misguided child, who again has a lot in common with Luz. If there's anyone who can reason with the Collector and give him the guidance he really needs, it's going to be the mother who just spent months taking care of 6 teenagers and just had an incredible breakthrough with her daughter. Everyone's reaction to temporarily losing Luz will catch the Collector off guard as he panics over the idea that he just pushed every potential friend away by hurting Luz. But Camila will be the one who really breaks down his walls and gets him to express his emotions, his fears, and his anxieties in a healthy way, instead of all of this. I think this kind of pseudo-tragedy turned victory would be especially fitting for a Disney TVA finale, as just about every show in recent years has had some sort of sacrifice to either defeat the big bad or overcome the conflict, which usually results in said sacrifice being reversed a few minutes later. Grunkle Stan and Marco getting ambiguously stabbed, but that didn't really go anywhere. You get the idea. Also, since I pointed out the many parallels between Owl House and Amphibia, I really am curious if we'll see Luz and the gang get sent to the moon, considering that climax of Amphibia took place in space, with the moon playing a pretty big role. We all know the Collector is going to get redeemed in the finale, but pulling from the information we have so far, this just feels like the most interesting way for them to do it, in my opinion. And I'm sure immediately after this happens, Belos will continue to pull 3 more contingency plans out of his ass in an act of desperation, setting the stage for a grand final battle, where Luz, King, and Ida face off against Belos. But this time, not only will they have the help of their friends, but they'll have the help of a reformed Collector too. But as always, these are just my thoughts and I would love to hear yours. What do you think the Collector's final game will be? Do you think Luz will get turned into a puppet? And do you agree that Camila will be the one who redeems the Collector? Let us know in the comments down below and keep the conversation going by giving us a follow at Roundtable Vids and at OstricFox over on Instagram and Twitter. Special thanks to JANKYBONES for another amazing thumbnail. Check out more of their work at BoneJakey on both Twitter and Instagram. And if you enjoyed this video, please throw it a like and subscribe to the Roundtable for more great cartoon content. Thank you for watching and I hope you have an awesome day. See ya!